Hello and welcome to 21st Century Business Accountant. In this video we're talking about the need for you, the accountant, to be vital or to risk extinction. My name's Kevin Appleby, the Business Accountant's Mentor, and this is brought to you in partnership with IA Seminars. So we're talking about being vital. Staying in the back office in the 21st century simply isn't an option. Stay there and do all the things that are functional and you'll risk being automated out of existence. Thing is, cloud accounting has made a big difference to what we do. Integration into accounting systems from everywhere else in the business has made a big difference to everything we do. Artificial intelligence is creeping in. We've seen integration outside the business as well, things like making tax digital coming along and submission of company accounts. And the reports are at everybody's fingertips in the business. They're not relying on you to crunch the numbers anymore. Most of the numbers that they actually want to look at seem to turn up automatically without you having to do anything. But there's some good news. They do still need expert business advice to guide them, and there are certain things that you as the financial expert can give them to steer the business forward. So today we're going to talk about three things. We're going to look at the 5 trends of the 21st century, the 5 things that are really making this century different to any other, and the impact that they're having on organisations. What's different? What's new? What have we got to cope with? What are the challenges? And in turn, those challenges each mean something for you, the accountant. So what do they mean, and how do you be vital in the 21st century? So, what are those trends? Well, there are 5 in actual fact. We need to go right back to the Second World War and understand what happened to the economy in the second half of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st. And it was driven by a huge increase in the birth rate between 1946 and 1964 as the baby boomers came along. That spike in population has driven an economy for 50 or 60 years. And that's been a major trend, but it's going away. The baby boomers are all retiring, they're liquidating wealth, and they're earning less. And coming along in their place are the millennials with a different set of values, a different set of needs, and a different set of attitudes. And that's making a very big difference to what every organisation needs to think about doing. Technology is also changing all the rules. We've seen all sorts of new things come along. We've seen the taxi firm that has no taxis. We've seen the hotel company that has no hotels. Suddenly, you can be very big and disrupt as a very small business. You can be a manufacturer and actually have no manufacturing capacity. And it makes everything different. We're also seeing governments in crisis. The theme of the last few years has been austerity. High government debt, lower tax income, and interest rates hitting around the 0 point to try and stimulate an economy. And that's all got a very big impact on what's going on. We're also reminded every day about global crises that are going on, whether that's global warming, famine, endangered species, lots and lots of things. So the challenge for organisations and for you, the accountant, is to understand the trends and to ride the wave of change. So the wave of change, what does that mean for the 21st century organisation? Well, to start off with, we're seeing for the first time ever that digital assets are more important than physical assets. The things that you've spent all your time putting on the balance sheet, valuing, depreciating over their life, aren't really the things that are driving income anymore. Income is being driven by digital assets. We've talked about those disruptors coming along. The Uber with no taxis really disrupted the taxi market, and there are all sorts of examples of that. So the first trend is you either have to disrupt or you risk being disrupted. And the big challenge when you are disrupted is how do you respond to it? That in turn means you've got to be agile, you've got to be able to react quickly, and you've got to have an amount of resilience in your business model. The global crisis means you need strong values, you need strong ethics, and sustainability is right at the heart of the business agenda. The people that are doing most to sort out the global crisis are actually entrepreneurs. They're not governments. Governments can't afford to. Governments can't act internationally in order to make a difference. It's organisations that are doing it. But behind all of this is the need for a very, very good understanding of the economic model that drives the business. Not the accounting model, not the profit and loss account, but the real economics behind the business. And your skill with numbers as an accountant can be a real way into that. So what does the accountant need to do to support the business? Well, first of all, you've got to stop being functional, because anything functional that you do has a strong risk of being automated, replaced by artificial intelligence, and so on. The one thing that can't do is replace your capacity to advise, your capacity to understand the background of what's going on, and your capacity to think about what makes a difference. So actually, let's take Vital and break Vital down into its 5 letters. The V stands for vision and values. Well, vision drives the organisation. Vision turns into strategy, turns into plans, turns into budgets. Right at the centre of all of that is always numbers. So your role is to be the man in the business planning team, in the strategy development team, that's bringing the business economics to the table. When you qualify as an accountant, you also are taught strong professional ethics. Well, values are very, very important going forward, and your role as well is to be the values owner of the organisation. You bring insight. Your skills as an accountant can help reveal things to the rest of the business team. You've got tools at your disposal. Think about activity-based costing. Think about how that can help reveal the underlying profits that are sitting behind customers, behind products, allow the business to work out what works, what doesn't work, what adds value, what doesn't add value. The accountant needs to be part of the business team, right at the centre of the business team. Your role is to be business partner to whoever's leading that team, whether that's the business team, whether that's the CEO, the managing director. Your job is to be sitting next to them as the advisor. Not in the back office, but the second part of team is that you are always more effective if you have a good team supporting you. Agility, we've already said, is a huge asset to the 21st century business. Well, an awful lot of things that you've done in the past as an accountant haven't been particularly agile. But you can change. You don't need to think about budgets for the next financial year 6 months before the year starts, that are essentially, by the time you get to the end of that financial year, 18 months out of date. There are all sorts of business planning things that you can bring to the table that allow agile response to the business. You've got the economic model of the business, where you can play scenarios and help a business understand how to change. And you can be a leader of that business change. Certainly that's been my role over a 20-year consulting career, helping the business change. And when you're supporting business change, my experience is that the accounting team in the business very rarely has the right numbers to support that change. And my role as the consultant has been to develop those numbers, to develop the business models. One of the things that I really want to do is pass those skills on to you. Which brings us on to the L, learning new skills. That is very, very important. You can't survive simply on what you learn to pass your exams. All the time you need to learn new skills, and to be vital, put those skills into action straight away in the business. Uppermost in those are leadership skills and people skills. But as well, there are better ways of quickly developing business models, quickly developing budgets, quickly developing the things that make a difference to the business. And we're going to talk about those in future videos. So do you want to know more? Firstly, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. where there's going to be a weekly video in this series. So 21st Century Business Accountant on YouTube. You can go to the IS Seminars website and take a look at skilling up to be a 21st century business partner. And there's a range of courses under that topic, ranging from a day to a full week of training on some of the vital things that you need to learn to stay on top of your game. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and at kevinappleby.com. And I also do a weekly podcast with my colleague Graham Arrowsmith. And you can pick that up on iTunes, on Google, or Stitcher, or wherever it is that you normally take your podcasts from, or at our website, thenext100days.org. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.